Okay, so what I need to do, Bryce, is I'm going to explain to you.
What have lay people and experts from the 1800s and 1900s believed about the impact that electronic communications technologies would have on personal identity?
A really very significant example of people storing their identities with their phones. In the documentary short film that we watched called Find My Phones.
Dat ik zo'n door toestand kwijt was geraakt, vond ik eigenlijk nog niet eens het ergste. Maar het idee dat een onbekende nu toegang had tot al mijn foto's, video's, contacten, e-mails en berichten.
Now, I'm sure that you could probably attest to having a lot of your life on your phone. I know I can. I've got, I would say, over 2/3 of my phone is filled with pictures and images of myself and others that I've taken over time. We go to my tech challenge paper, and she talks about some of what her opinions are about technology now. Now, when I told her about the way that I get kind of absorbed in my own, and how kids get absorbed in theirs, my technology was my only means of communicating with the outside world, and without it, I was filled with worrisome uncertainty about my friends, family, and personal situation. As she's seen it, being introduced to it, she says, "You guys don't even know what to do with yourselves. You go from the iPad to the computer to the TV to the iPad to the iPad to iPod to, I mean, you don't even know what to do next without electronics in your hand."
What did they do beforehand?
The TV. I was kind of a big TV watcher, so not having TV was a big deal. Listening to music somehow also.
How is that any different from what we do now? I could make the argument that she wouldn't know what to do with herself if there wasn't a TV, or radio, or anything like that.
Exactly. Another thing that I found about people's personal identity being altered by technology was summed up in one of the readings that we had from Rudi Volti. Concerns about the disruptive effects of technological change are not new, as they can be seen in English magazine editors' fulminations against the first railroads in 1835. Railroads, if they succeed, will give an unnatural impetus to society, destroy all the relations that exist between man and man, overthrow all mercantile relations, and create, at the peril of life, all sorts of confusion and distress. People thought that technological change was going to alter the power balance. From Marvin, page 71 here. The new woman's wider contact with the world made her brasher and more resilient. Her prototype was the telephone girl, the operator who dealt daily with the demands of male strangers. New technologies were enabling, they were sort of blurring boundaries that men and women had socially. So it was sort of blending them together, blending their roles together.
Well, honestly, even the playing field. Like, for instance, the railroad, if you're able to travel to somewhere for work, then you're much better than if you were stuck there and without a job. Nowadays, technology allows you to maybe put in a resume that you can apply for a job somewhere else.
One thing that I do like about using my Tumblr is that it enables me to share things with people that are beyond my sphere of influence. Well, it actually really extends my sphere of influence. So let's have a look at how this has happened for other people. I go to my classmates, actually. Julia Christine Luzzi said she was interviewing her grandmother about how technology has been changing their lives. She says, "My grandma told me every day I get texts from Valerie. She sends pictures of her baby, and we FaceTime once a week to check in. It makes me so happy to see her." In regards to how it has shaped social roles, my grandma believes technology, specifically smartphones, have bridged the generation gap. You've got your family posting things on Facebook, right? That's kind of bridging the generation gap too.
Yeah.
Let's look at page 105 and we can look at when Baym speaks about locative media. People who know one another use located media, applications and features designed to help people find each other in space. Such networks can be used to meet potential romantic partners and friends.
I use Facebook to know what my friends are doing.
The other day I was at a chemistry department ice cream social, and my advisor took a picture of me talking to this other guy, And later she sent me an email saying, "Who's this guy in this picture with you?" And I was like, "Oh crap, I don't know this guy's name." But luckily I had a class roster, so I was able to search up each person on Facebook and find out which was the one.
This was actually a post that I put. I'm still talking about technology helping us transcend limits of time and space to send information places that we couldn't go, at least not quickly. A quote Carrie uses from System reads, "The whole surface of this country will be channeled for those nerves which are to diffuse with the speed of thought a knowledge of all that is occurring throughout the land, making in fact one neighborhood of the whole country."
I mean, yeah, I got friends in Canada, so
Exactly. How do you connect with them? You've got Facebook,
I've got my PS4.
PlayStation, Tumblr. So let's have a look at ways people's identities have been altered because of lack of social cues and other things that we lose with mediated technology.
Oh, you used to book? Okay. You want to go right now? Huh. Guess I could do that. Okay. Okay, let's go. You said okay. Okay, let's go. All right, you know what? You know what? You want to really do this now? Keegan, you nuts.
So we can see this sort of puts a comical spin on the lack of context and social cues that text messaging might give. People have had to adjust to that. Let's have a look at Baym on page 70 again. There are many other kinds of creative play in textual media. In ASCII art, the symbols available on a keyboard are used to draw images. People invent new words and even dialects in textual interaction. Bryce, could you pull out your phone and show us some of the text messages that we have sent to each other? Instantly, we will be able to see some examples of this intentionally incorrect grammatical dialogue. Where you at? Am entering Unio. K, dropping bag. Have table? Oh no, I was gonna drop my bag at the dorm. Oh, people have identities based on what they do online and what they're associated with. So Tumblr, let's have a look at what Tumblr's associated with. What do you think is the stereotype of people that use Tumblr?
12 to 18-year-old social justice warriors. In actuality, it's a lot more modest than that. It's not to the degree that Reddit will have you think.
What else? There's Reddit. What's stereotype associated with Reddit?
Neckbeards. I mean, then there's Tumblr, and then there are neckbeards who are the utter trash of the internet. And those are an actual thing, and it's terrifying.
So what is a neckbeard?
A neckbeard is someone who's like, oh, nice guys finish last, and who can't get a date because they think that they're God's gift to women, or that women should just fall over themselves for them.
Oof. Yep.
Ouch. Amish men.
This is what people associate with Reddit then, I suppose. Let's have a look at Twitter.
Oh, no.
We haven't checked out Twitter yet.
Oh no. Oh no.
So Twitter. Let's look at my Tumblr page, actually. So let's have a look at some of the things that I've got. Let's look at what kind of impression someone would get from me. These are images of myself. So what sort of impression do you think people are getting from these, Bryce?
Aspiring artist, college student.
Only 2 of these are things that I've reposted. These two here. So besides that, these are all things that I've made and that I have put on to Tumblr. What about your Facebook? Could you show me a little bit of your Facebook account?
Oh, I've got a Dunkirk ad, we've got Star Wars, Daily Show, Mass Effect stuff, Star Wars memes, Call of Duty ads.
So if someone viewed your Facebook, what is the impression they would get?
I like video games and Star Wars and memes.
And I think that's about accurate.
That's pretty accurate.
So yes, I do try to be honest with what I put online. Now we can see some examples of when people's online presence is not identical to their actual real-life presence. Let's check out Filthy Frank's YouTube channel here. Filthy Frank is the embodiment of everything a person should not be. He is anti-PC, anti-social, anti-couth. There is no denying that the show is terribly offensive, but this terrible offensiveness is deliberate and unapologetic parody of the whole social media machine and a reflection of the human microcosm that social media is. Let's watch a short... Sure,
No, not
sure,
here,
just a
Pete.
little
No,
bit
no,
of
no,
his
no, no.
thing.
I can't believe this. You're gonna choose the fate of our family over some fruit snacks. Fruit snack? You son of a...
So that's Filthy Frank. I found some other examples of people presenting themselves online, perhaps differently than they would in person. So let's look at this documentary called Catfish. This woman falsely portrayed herself as a young girl to this guy who now has a TV show talking all about catfishing. So this is his experience being catfished by her and her motives.
It was a real, friendship
Yeah.
that I was also looking for myself.
And I didn't want to lose the friendship. And there were times where I felt like I was really overstepping, and I tried to pull it back by being like, I don't want to lose friendship,
Right.
no matter what. I didn't want to lose that. But then I was like, if I'm lying, it's not really a friendship anyway. And I really thought you'd just end up hating me. You're able to show me things that I don't have access to.
So her motives were she wanted to use her technology to escape her real life situation.
And a lot of times that just stems from like insecurity. If you make like a fake Tinder account or something like that, a lot of times they feel if they put themselves out there in the normal sense, no one's gonna accept them for who they are. No one's gonna want to date them or anything like that. So they act like they're this young 20-something, happy-go-lucky supermodel. A lot of times they don't grasp that eventually they'll have to meet this person in person.
Another thing that we've found about people being encouraged to lie on Baym, page 37. The famous cartoon with two dogs using the computer, captioned, "On the internet, nobody knows you're a dog." Let's look at Baym, page 127. Baym says the fears about honesty in which this chapter began might lead people to expect that given anonymity and tools to manipulate self-presentation, people would lie. Bryce, can you think of anybody lying online?
You really think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
Yes, we do. Baym somehow disagrees. In general, research does not support the idea that lean media make people lie.
Lean media is what this main person said?
Lean media. He's talking about blogs and blog posts. People talking about soap operas.
Well, yeah, people aren't going to lie about their opinions. What makes people lie is anonymity.
Anonymity.
And when people are anonymous, that's what makes them lie. Like, they can lie about anything on the internet, and people either believe you as like, oh, you're an expert or something like that. You gotta prove that you are someone on a Reddit AMA or something like that. You have to have proof I am who I say I am.
We could find countless other examples of people changing the way that they present themselves online versus the way that they're presented in person. All right, so what have we looked at then? We've looked at Twitter, we've checked out Reddit, we've gone on your Facebook, Tumblr, we've been to YouTube.
We've discussed Reddit.
We looked at Filthy Frank on YouTube. So I think we pretty much summed up everything that there is to say about people's identities online as they've changed. And what have we talked about? We talked about people from the 1800s and 1900s opinions on things that would happen with the introduction of the railroad, the internet. We talked about how people in those times were changed by the technology, how their identities were changed. We had a little bit about power balance was changed, gender roles. We've talked about the present time. So, what do you think? You think everything's been said that there is to say? Well, thank you, Bryce. Thank you for helping me. Goodbye.